The second part, the interaction part, is really what we think traditionally when we think about leveraging AI to make decisions. So not just training an AI to actually be able to make decisions, but also leveraging the final output of the AI to, let's say, combine it to what we would do in the normal world. There is two ways to do that. It all starts from humans and AI making independent decisions, right? You can think of any process that requires a kind of like a final call. We're going to name a few afterwards, but you have both humans and AI looking at data, having to make a final decisions. And then the two interactions that you can have is what we're going to call the human in the loop, which is going to be essentially the correction of AI decisions by a human, or what I call the OAK-I, which is essentially the reverse. It's the correction, the enhancement of decisions by human from AI. And then the combination of this is what the final decision is. Let's take a very practical example. Think of OAK-I in the context of tennis, which is kind of like a very prominent example of where it is used. You essentially have a bunch of umpires that currently still, let's say, monitor the game of tennis. They make some final call. They decide what they want to do. And then you have this final layer of AI that is based on computer vision systems, cameras that can see very, very precisely whether the ball of a player was called in or out. You have this final layer applied on top of the final decision made by the umpire. And that is exactly where, well, I mean, it's actually literally called OAK-I in tennis, but that is a pattern that we're going to see in many, many processes, not just in tennis. And then the human in the loop is going to be more or less the reverse. You're going to have, for instance, an AI, an intelligent system that learns from data from any process. It could be car manufacturing automation. It could be any other industrial business processes. And you have the agent that's going to be able to make a final decision, like how do you improve a production process. But then you finally are going to have humans that might want to apply, let's say, business rules or final validations on top of this data. This is very, very similar, to name a very precise process. This is very similar to what happens with ChatGPT and any other large language models. You have the models that are trained on a huge corpus of data, text data, and who make a final decision on what is the, let's say, answer that they provide to your questions. But while these systems train, they attempt to predict the next word. Don't want to get too technical into this, but they attempt to predict the next word. And humans essentially provide a final layer of validation on top of this training of large language models, of LLM. ChatGPT, if left completely by itself, could output some answers that people would not really be happy with. And that's why you have a human in the loop layer at the final stage of the training of the model, so that the final decision of what is the output that the ChatGPT is going to provide you, controlled and corrected whenever it needs to be controlled and corrected. That is what we're going to call the leveraging of AI to make decisions.